All right, it is 6 p.m. On the 19th of February, 2026. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, Quan Lee is here.
Our Villa Gomez is here.
Bradley Romsted's here.
Patty Kelly's here.
John Dominguez is here.
And we do have a quorum, so we'll continue on with the meeting. So please join me in the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Okay. Do we have any public comments? None? Then we'll move on to the approval of minutes. I believe you received it in email and had a chance to review. Any changes, omissions? If none, can I get a motion?
I move we okay the minutes of the last meeting.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, Quan Lee says yes.
I approve. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Unanimous. Committee reports, business. Our member Justina Garcia is not here. We'll move on to member Kelly.
The most important thing that I'm thinking about right now that we're working on that we've wanted to complete was the large animal evacuation. And so there's 4 people besides myself, and they have large animals, have a lot of experience, and so they have been advising. And I met with 2 of them. So one of the places that we had hoped to move animals is, since the last fires are not available, but we're looking at 2 other alternatives, and we're going to incorporate some of the information from the Santa Monica evacuation facility, and I hope to have that at the next meeting. The flu sort of slowed people up, and so I'll be able to meet with them again soon. However, they did pass some really good information on, which was that it would be a good idea for the people who are going to be in charge in the community for evacuating animals to have T-shirts and a badge that will identify them, because they may have to evacuate animals when the people are not there. This would already be set up. Also, it would be impossible to evacuate the people and the animals because of liability. So other cities have found that that's impossible, so that will all be communicated to the people. There will be a system that'll be very organized, so we know where all the people are, what kind of animals they have, and there will be photographs of the people with their animals. There'll be tags for the animals. This will be all set up long before we ever have to worry about an evacuation, so that that's ready in the animal stalls. So if by chance the person isn't there, the identification can be made so that the animal won't accidentally end up with somebody else who claims it. So photographs of the person with the animals, photographs of the animals. The animal will be marked with chalk so that it can be identified wherever it ends up being taken to. And there will be at least 2 different times that will be set up for people to experience a trial evacuation. And that's the way we got so far.
So if you can put together maybe an outline for next meeting and send it to us ahead of time?
Yes.
And then
I'll wait to meet with these people who know a lot about it.
Excellent. And then for the city manager, is this something that we need to present to city council and put some type of a code or something in regards to allowing our large animal team access? And if they're not, the households are not registered, then we can't go onto their property.
No.
So it should be a pre-registration process. So is this something we need to present as a guide to council?
Yes, definitely something that, like, once we have a plan together and maybe a little subcommittee of people out there that are going to handle that large animal evacuation, we could take that to council and get some sort of registration process for them where people could sign on and register, so they would have a list and know where they could go and who they have the ability to transport those animals for. And then we could also look at if there's any sort of releases or anything that may need to be done to protect everybody involved.
I'm wondering, I'm going to piggyback on it, and I'm going to recommend some couple things to get more people involved, because we're getting really lack of participation from the community. But any questions for Member Kelly on the large animal? If none, then I'll just go into my education and outreach to cover a couple of the things that we've been working on. We're still trying to schedule our first quarter education. February was a horrible month because the weather, the way it's been. I'm looking at maybe towards the fourth Saturday of March, and we'll incorporate some of the risk management prevention, i.e. it could be water main breaks that's happening. We're seeing more frequently of that, smoke detectors, and then also maintenance, which would include, updating your roof or maintaining your roof, maintenance, and we're trying to get a vendor to come out, give us an education on that. So the fourth week, Saturday of March is what we're targeting. Some of the things that I kind of been getting frustrated with participation from residents. We are a recognized Firewise USA residents, but it takes a village. It's not just 20 or 10 household who comes and participate these things. And so with the large animal, with Firewise USA, maybe we get residents to register and charge a fee that fund the badge, the shirts, and some of the events that we do. Maybe it's a simple $50 a household annually to be a member of both the large animal evacuation and then Firewise USA maintenance. It's not really mandatory. If you want to partake in it, you want the discount, you partake in it, and you have to show up at least one session during the year. And that's something that we can, again, present to the council to make it something, because we need some participation. And I think there's going to be a burnout if we continue to have the same people come and there's really no activity. We're 1,600 household members, and I have this 3-year plan put together, but for me to look at something to present to Firewise USA and get it approved, but yet we only get 2% participation, that's not feasible, and that's not accurate. I know we have brush clearance because that's our priority component of money that's spent, or time that's spent becomes a budgetary item for us to meet the minimum money spent to qualify for. And we are doing that, but what's the point if everybody's doing their own thing? And so this is something maybe we present to the council at the next council meeting, is to say, hey, this is what because it's part of our duty is to present some of the risk management and fire management or emergency management recommendations to city council, so they can either make an ordinance or something that the city approves to make this a mandatory item. And I thought a small fee and participation in at least one event throughout the year be a mandatory thing to qualify to get a certificate from the Firewise USA participation. But again, is that something legal? Do we have to incorporate the whole? These are things we need to check with our legal team, because I don't think we can do that arbitrarily, because we're saying the community is a Firewise USA community. That means everybody's under that umbrella, not just those that are paying and showing up. So it's one of those things that, we've been at this for now going on 4 years with Firewise USA, but the real plan started right before COVID. So how do we get more residents participating in this? So, when Member Kelly puts together her large animal, I will try to put together something that can be presented to City Council, hopefully before, our March or April meeting. I think maybe more realistic, and see what the council feels, and maybe the city attorney could also participate in giving us some guidelines how we can manage this thing, because again, it's the committee members and a few audience members that show up, and it really doesn't demonstrate the village participating in a more broader emergency response or preparedness. And even with our CERT team trying to get people out and trying to get something organized, one or two people are just, again, it's not going to cut it. And for the general community members, if you get a chance to listen to this meeting, give us some ideas. Give us some ideas of what would encourage you to participate and encourage you to get engaged in a global emergency preparedness for our community, because we got a lot of rain this year again, and which means the result is more brush. And yesterday, the day before, we had some wind events. And if we got hit with what Beach Boulevard got hit, I mean, there were just broken branches all down both sides of Beach Boulevard, which means the winds were probably up in the 50, 60-mile range. And something else caused all those pine needles to come off most of those trees. So these are things that, it's not just limited to fire, but, we are in a zone that involves flooding now, earthquake, fire, and wind which causes trees to fall over. So once we get that would be my recommendation as the EPC to put together a proposal to put together a community membership that registers large animals or even small animals, and then maybe have some oversight with volunteers that with the same shirt and in some type of a badge to identify elderly residents that are not mobile, that we can check in on them in case of an emergency, and that could be a part of that. So it'll be a global overall, regards to getting our fire watch team involved and getting these people. So maybe that could fund the badges, the shirts, and some of the expenses, i.e. maybe putting a master storage in 4 different locations in our city vacant areas where we can have emergency preparedness products and food, water, whatever it may be that's needed in case it happens in any of the 5 zones, and maybe that would be our ultimate goal. So that's something that I would recommend, and I'll work with Member Kelly to put that together before our April meeting. Any questions or pushbacks or ideas or you want to add? None? Okay. And then Member Rumstead, anything on Prop? None? Okay, then we'll move on to Member Villagomez.
Okay. Let's see. Pull my notes. So been doing some outreach and attending some different conversations. So I sent out for those that have registered or at least expressed an interest, and I have captured your email or communicated with John Dominguez. I sent out I'm maintaining an email list, and so I sent out the newsletter, and I think it was also posted on some of the websites, Facebooks out there. We have a couple of opportunities coming up this year. One of the major things that I'd really like to see us participate in is what we're calling a multi-city CERT training exercise. This right now is tentatively planned for May 30th. It's going to happen somewhere in Southern California. The city of La Mirada is coordinating this with a couple of different cities. We have La Habra is a part of that. Whittier is part of that. There's a couple areas. Norwalk, I think, is the other city they're trying to coordinate with. But anyway, they're trying to pull that together. They're doing that in coordination with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I hope to have more information within the next month. And so as that gets closer, we'll kind of target to that. The requirement is that anyone that participates does need to have a recent CERT training information. And so I can get more clarification around what recent means, but certainly within the past 4 or 5 years is something we're looking for. I know many of our residents have CERT training from prior, and they've also gotten some accelerated CERT training. So by all means, please just present that so that we can get ourselves coordinated and represented. It'd be really great for us to be the La Habra Heights CERT team participating as part of that, but they are also willing to take individuals that are interested. But getting back to the CERT training, I also provided a list of a couple of training opportunities that are nearby. The Los Angeles County site, Los Angeles County CERT training has some of the recent information. Eventbrite also is another place where some of the locations are publishing these trainings. What's coming up is City of Norwalk has a CERT training program. It's going to be at their City Hall. It's scheduled for March 13th for the 15th. I did just check earlier, and it looks like the class is full, but they are accepting a waiting list. So please, if that's a good opportunity for you, please register and put yourself on the waiting list. Now, that's over a weekend. La Mirada, hearing what people have expressed that they also have challenges trying to do this kind of training over the weekend, are offering training during the week. The training, and I put the dates out there, but they are in the April 20th through the 30th, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the 20th, 21, 22, and then the following week, the 27th, 28th, and 29th. All those dates, the classes are from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it is a commitment, but they are during the week, and they're kind of broken out into smaller chunks and segments for folks to participate. So if that's a good opportunity for you, then by all means join that. The last one that I put out there is also around National CERT. There's an organization called National CERT. They were formed back in 2019 or somewhere around there. They hold conferences across the country. This year, they're going to hold that conference in Irvine. And right now, it's scheduled for August 24th through the 29th. So if folks are interested on attending that conference and finding out more about CERT and other related items, please take a look at the website. To attend, you may have to join the National CERT. It's less than $30. It's like $22 or something like that to sign up. What also is important is they have training that they're going to provide there. So if you can't take advantage of any of those CERT training, that's going to be an opportunity for CERT training there, as well as some other materials that they're going to present. It's a conference, multi-day. They have not published the content, and that hopefully will be available, I think they said in April, so a couple months away. And that's about it. Anybody else questions around the CERT and what's going on and any other training opportunities, or want to know more about what's being planned for the multi-city CERT training and exercise in May? Reach out and we'll try and coordinate that or get you more information around what's going on. Yes.
Could you repeat the April days for La Habra? I mean, La Mirada?
Yeah, the La Mirada, it's going to be at their, if anybody knows where Splash is, their little City Hall area. So it'll be in that area. It'll be April 20th through April 30th. The training specifically is April 20th through the 22nd, and then the following week, the 27th through the 27th through the 30th. Sorry.
Wow.
That was 6 to 9 p.m. for April.
6 to 9 p.m.
Right, okay.
On those dates, yes.
Okay, perfect. And if you can share that information, maybe we can post it on Facebook's La Habra.
It's posted
Heights.
on the Habra Heights Facebook site.
Okay, excellent. So that's where people can default to. Any other questions? If none, Mr. Dominguez on technology and mapping.
Here we go. Mostly I'm working with just one project right now, which is the mapping of the storm drains. And that's pretty well complete as far as the overall picture. Now we have to verify, we have two sets of points from two different sources, and we need to verify which are repeats and which are erroneous, because there's some information that needs to be corrected. Hopefully that will get done in the next couple of weeks. I did speak with the Heights Life editor. He is interested in eventually doing a publication of the map on the Heights Life magazine of the storm drains, which would be a good source for neighbors to see their locations, what's around them, what may have been forgotten. We also have, in the upcoming issue of the Heights Life, the editor is, the Heights Life is going to do a 2-page spread of the evacuation routes. He's got that map, and he's going to go ahead and publish that, and including, I'm assuming he's going to add a email on the publication on the side of the map somewhere, stating that if you would like to have a bigger version, a more detailed version, high resolution, to let basically me know at beautifylhh@gmail.com, and that way I can make contact with folks, hopefully, and in a way talk about what we're trying to do, and give them access to the file so they can download and work with it and print it in whatever size they want it. But yeah, the main new project I'm finishing up is the storm drains. And that's just about done. The other thing is that, fortunately, I feel that everything that we have been talking about, I have talked about starting in 2019 when I first joined the EPC, the animal problems, challenges of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to coordinate. It's not a new conversation. It's something that's been talked about at many meetings. At the Fire Watch meeting, they were talking about the same thing. And these are from folks that have been here for years, living here. And it really comes down to lack of participation, lack of interest. I think a sense of being, in a sort of thought of, I've got everything figured out. When something happens, I'll take care of it. I'll ask my neighbor to help me out, and that's it. But it really goes beyond that, and I think many people have not gone beyond that, and I think it's one of the problems as to why we are having such a hard time trying to get people to help us out and participate in these efforts. So yeah, I'm a bit discouraged. So yeah, that's an old conversation. Even working on the evacuation routes, I started that map in 2019. 2020, 2021 came around, and COVID hit, and this, that, and the other, and I walked away from the EPC, eventually came back. But still, nothing has really been done about it. I think we're lacking a certain effectiveness. We're not really producing much. And I think that's been a very frustrating thought for me to be having all along, all this time that I'm doing my projects. And when I'm doing my projects, I think, oh, well, is this professional enough to be used by someone? What do we have instead? And my answer is, well, we don't have much else instead. So what I'm doing is like a baseline, trying to get things published for the public. There may be other organizations such as the fire department, countywide and citywide or whatever wide. We have more resources. We have internal information that they'll use during an emergency. But for us, the residents, we really don't have that much to go by. We have an old map for evacuation routes. We have nothing when it comes to where the storm drains are, which became a critical thing in 2024. So my reason for doing all this is not to spend my time doing something, but it's to try to feel myself being safer in this city. So anyways, I am finishing up on the storm drains. There's a publication coming on the Heights Life, and shortly after that, there should be another one. Last month, there was one from the QR codes was published. Apparently, the editor was saying they received a lot of good feedback from that article of publishing the QR codes. So that's basically it. All I can say is we have to keep trying, but it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, if I can speak to the camera and ask somebody out there who wants to take over my spot and do a better job, please take over my spot and do a better job, because I'm trying my best and it's not working out. We need somebody who may be more effective, who may know something that I don't know, who can be a wordsmith that I may not be that person, whatever it may take. We're not producing. We're not producing enough to really be existing for any specific reason other than talking over the same things that I have been talking about since 2019 at the EPC meeting in this, basically the same building. So we need to move on. We need more results. Oh, the other thing I wanted to ask too, speaking of CERT, is there any way that our local fire department can like give us little mini classes, mini reviews of certs and get 3, 4, 5 of us once in a while in the parking lot and go through some training and, you know, help us out with what we think we know and correct us in what we may be doing wrong or something of the sort. Just little review classes here and there, because we keep talking about, well, we have this cert meeting there and we got that cert meeting, but nobody from the residents group shows up. So I think if we can start something and get a few of us started, let's see if we can get some more to help us to join and participate in these little sessions at the La Habra Heights Fire Department, just reviewing head-to-toe checks and many other diagnostics and triage techniques that we certainly can use help with. So that's my ask. If we can get some assistance from the fire department saying, hey, come on down on a Saturday or whatever, and we'll see when we have time, we'll help you. If we get a call, then that's it. We get that. But something to keep the fire going. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions, any inputs from either Chief Martin or City Manager on that?
I would just like to say that, yes, I think I made that very evident from the beginning when I first started attending these meetings, that we're very receptive to helping the community be actively involved in learning about whatever they would, home safety, CPR, basic first aid, what do you do if there's snake bite? There's a lot of things that we can offer you. Home hardening, of course, is a big topic, but seems like we're beating that to death. Everybody's aware of it, but we can help explain it in a way that makes sense to the people, and so that they understand that it's more for their benefit. It's not something that's being mandated. Well, it's being mandated by the state, but not so much so that it's. I don't want to make it a feeling that they have to do it because the state is saying do it. They're doing it so that you don't have a Palisades or an Eaton fire here. That's why it's being done. And that education process is huge. If you know ahead of time what to do, what not to do, just some of the, we've had meetings in the past, what to keep in your car, what to keep in your home, what to keep in your purse. Simple little things. You're not going to be able to carry a big old duffel bag. Not very many people can. You're not going to be, we carry at any given time over almost 200 pounds of equipment. I don't know how many people in La Habra Heights would be able to do that to keep themselves safe. But yeah, I'm more than willing to sit down with anybody, any group that you would like, and whatever the interest is, we can put together a lesson plan for anything that has to do with home safety and fire safety and CPR and basic first aid.
So if I may ask, would you like me to start asking around who would join me, and then we'll approach you to see when you might have time to help us out on a specific topic? Or can you think of any specific topics you can suggest to us so I can take back to social media and whatever else?
Right. I'm putting together a event plan for the upcoming Fire Service Day, which is always in the month of May. So I'm going to be putting together information so that people can come to the fire station, get acquainted with their fire department, and learn from us all the things that we just discussed right now. The opportunity to be safe in your home, be safe on the roadway, some of the real basic things. You don't need to go out and buy a fire extinguisher. I can show you a very simple alternative to that, and it's stuff that's found in your home and something you can put together very simply, and it won't cost you more than $1. And you have something available for you in the kitchen to use in case of a grease fire, or if you're out with your barbecue, something overwhelms the system, and there you go. But I mean, we have that information, and we're looking for, like you say, participation. I know that Saturdays is a hard day for a lot of people because it's their one day off, or they have to do chores and stuff like that. So yeah, we're open to whatever day you want to do it. Remember, your fire department is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We don't close. For lunch, for dinner, to take a shower, we're always open. Keep that in mind, okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'll volunteer my house for the month of May, and you can go walk around with my neighbors. I can guarantee there'll be a good crowd, and you can point out everything that's wrong, and there will be some things, as much as I've tried to get the hardscape done. So let's do, that could be my focus for the month of May for the food swap. So
Sure, we could do it in the month of May if you want.
And then Saturday, early morning.
Okay, the specific day.
9:30.
The fire service day is more for an event for younger children to come out, look at the fire equipment that we have, look at the brand new engine we have, use a fire hose. So it's a gathering to anybody to come out. If they've never been to a fire station, it's something very interesting. I bet you don't know how much that equipment feels, what it feels like to when you put it on. Well, we'll put it on you. We'll see how you like it, and it's uncomfortable, it's hot, so you get a feeling for that. But it's just an awareness. That's all. We could do a lot with that.
So would June be better for me? Would June be better to link up with you to use my house as a
Absolutely,
example
yeah.
to walk?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's do
we
June.
could do that.
What I would recommend probably with Member Dominguez and Kelly is to maybe set up a separate, meeting with the chief, and then try to outline what we're trying to accomplish, so that you guys both are on the same page, and then report back to the committee and we can finalize it. I think that would be probably a good product, because I used to meet with our Fire Marshal Alcalde when we were putting together the Firewise USA program, and I think we met at least a dozen times to fine tune it because we got some pushback. So this is a good way to kind of interact, and according to Fire Chief's availability, then you can kind of coordinate and then set those dates and what the agenda is, because let's not just make it a local area, but let's get the community to come out, and we do have events at the fire station for these kids to experience. We saw that last year when we did the fire engine introduction. A lot of families were there. If we got that kind of participation every event, we'll get somewhere. But when we get 5, 6 families, it just doesn't make sense in regards to, are we making an impact? So I would recommend maybe set aside a separate side event so you can kind of outline as to what we're trying to accomplish. I think that would be the ultimate goal in this. So any other questions for Member Dominguez? No other comments, and then we'll move on to verbal updates. Last month, we got into a little bit of conversation about what this committee really needs to do and kind of review. But I think the core thing that I want to kind of touch upon today is trying to recruit new members. In order to do that, we need to, on Section 3, it says length of term. It was to be determined. And this is something we should make a commitment and make a proposal to amend this with some fixed dates. And I think some of the dates we talked about was possibly 3-year terms and maximum of 2 years, or 2 terms of 3 years. So that's 6 years maximum, and then maybe a rotation. And for the chair position, every 2 years, because 1 year is just not enough to get things done. And if we do 2 years, that would be my recommendation. Does anybody else have an input? None? Yeah. So, you know, the key is trying to get new ideas, new members, and new families to kind of, or, you know, members to kind of partake in this. And then we come alongside, just because we're not on the committee, we're going to continue to show up and support, because we want this EPC to be successful. And I do believe we got some things done. The quarterly cleanup, that's a major task. But when you get 25, 30 residents come out to help with that, that's a lot of work. And you know what? I'm proud every time I go over the hill and get to the border of Hacienda Heights, and I look at our side, we're clean. Then as soon as you cross that border, we got stuff piled up, and I'm going, see, we're doing something. And I remind myself, it's beautiful. So, you know, it's that pride in participating in keeping our community safe and clean, because again, removal of additional fuel is a great benefit to everything that we're trying to do. And not just, you know, we see nitroxide canisters, we see other stuff that's out there that could cause potential, you know, damage. So, yeah, so I'd like to get a roll call on this and get a vote as to what, you know, we want to present to City Council at the next meeting, is that to amend this Section 3, 3-year terms, 2 times maximum per member, okay? Unless somebody has to come out, and then we can make an exception to come back on as an exception to add on. But, and then for the chair, 2-year cycle, so that somebody else is also participating. And 1 year is just, everything I've chaired in the community or the nonprofits, 1 year is just not enough for the chair to get his agenda accomplished. 2 years is good. And if it continues on, then we can have that prior chair continue with the project so that we can get things done. So that's what I'm recommending. Can I get a motion that we recommend this?
Well, if
Yeah.
if I may comment, the chairperson is not the same as a member. I myself do not feel qualified to be in your shoes. And you do a better job of what you do. You have your background in what you do, which helps in this situation. My background as far as being a security officer and doing all these plans for evacuation and fancy maps with the computers, that's what I'm doing here. And that's sort of like my forte. It's not necessarily to be more wide-ranged in the subjects that you cover, and it has to do with your industry and experiences you've had in your life, which are I think, much more varied than mine. So I would hesitate to take that 2-year chairmanship for feeling that I'm not qualified to do that.
I would probably disagree. What I'm trying to get is, when the chair comes in, chair always comes with what they believe is their strength, and they're going to try to get things accomplished. We as members come alongside, and that's why we have the community reports. We establish that to empower individual members to take their, you know, experiences and talents and make it better.
Well, but to continue with my argument is that some people are better qualified to be in your position. And I think it's also, we have to face the fact that other members, if we're not coming through with any product, with any producing anything, then maybe it's time to face the facts. Is that, okay, let somebody else have a turn. I realize not too many people step up, but still, it's really, we should try to not keep this place so stagnant.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
So John, do you have a suggestion on how a chair would be positioned? I'm not sure if that's, I'm not sure how the other committees do to determine what the chair is, but what I'm hearing Juan articulate is that the chair is really any of our members. We've all taken on a role. As a chair, you're just coming in and kind of doing what, facilitating the conversation. Everyone else is still doing what they're doing. You'll still do everything you've been doing up to now. It's just that somebody else will be sitting in that seat, helping facilitate the agenda, and maybe even helping drive some conversation of what else should we be thinking about.
And it necessarily doesn't mean everybody has to take a turn. It's those folks that want to be a part of that. And what I'm trying to recommend is when you get new chairs involved, sometimes the messaging or the coordination evolves, and not necessarily it's going to take the most experienced person. So with that thought is, in order to become the next chair, you have to be on the committee minimum 2 years to understand the whole process. So after your first 2 years as a member, then you qualify. So maybe next year, Mr. Villagomez becomes a chair for 2 years, then I come back again. Or it could be somebody else, then I come back the third time. So it could be anybody, but what it allows is, it allows, after 2 terms, we take 1 year off, but it allows other residents to partake in it. Don't feel like this is it. If they want to contribute, you also, Mr. Dominguez mentioned, there are residents that want to be a part of this. They want to contribute to the EPC. Let's allow them to do that, because that's how we cast a wider net to get more participation. And this is a terminology I remember when we were trying to do the food pantry in the city of La Habra. There was no oversight, and the database was not consistent. And it was the same 20, 30 people getting in front of the line with the 3 food pantries and got their food first. And the people that really needed it, it was all gone. And so how do we coordinate that? It's the same concept as how do we get more ideas, as trying to get more residents to partake. And so I'm not recommending that, okay, you serve, whatever terms and you're done. We hope the members continue to support and attend these meetings and make this group grow bigger and bigger by allowing others to come in with their ideas, their expertise, and expand what we're doing.
How do we do that? So far, we have not been successful.
Until we try, failure is only when you don't try. But if you try and we adapt, we're going to get something done. And this is something I believe in. It is we got to get out of our comfort zone and try things new, introduce. And look at us. We were the first city as an entity to become Firewise USA Community. And we were an example and a model for a lot of other communities.
Because we had a skillful person who knew about those things, which is you.
Yeah, I understand
And
that,
you're the
but
person
we also have CERT, we also have Member Kelly, who understands and has this established community leadership. So there's a lot of ideas, and the chair not necessarily has to be the know-it-all. Chair is a person who facilitates the meeting. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Is that okay? So go ahead, Member Kelly.
I was recently talking to my friend who came to a couple of the meetings at my house, and I'm not going to say what city she's the head of the CERT, but anyway, she is now going to be not the head of the CERT in her community. But she said, even though it was advertised, even though it was, they had a fair amount of people come to the meeting to try and get more people involved. There was one person. Fortunately, that one person volunteered to be the head of it now. But the problem is, like she said, 2 75-year-old women should not be the head of a city with so many people. I'm just going to say, a very wealthy city along the beach, okay? That is absurd. And I said, well, how is that? She goes, because nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to volunteer. Nobody wants to be involved. Now, I understand that this month, December, January, February, these have been really odd months. A lot of rain, a lot of storms. That's going to be the new norm, which you always tell us, Kwan, statistically. And we are living in an era that we are not La Habra Heights in California is not the same place it was 20 years ago. We've got real threats. This committee should be wider accepted as an energy force for neighbors to be prepared. I feel very confident that Ed has communicated, just for the few people I know, that they all have packs that are over. They are big packs. They're in their cars. They didn't used to do that. They have them by their doors. They didn't used to do that. So thank you. to the terrible catastrophes in Palisades and Altadena, and the mudslides here, and the floods, the earthquakes we knew are coming. But still, if you look around, as Frank has said, there is no real enthusiasm. I'm not sure how to address that. I mean, because it isn't just our city.
So let's kind of bring it back to the topic is we do want to set some terms because we don't want to just leave it to be determined. Let's put some guidelines in. If there's a situation where the member has to stay on another extended year, we make those exceptions because we're an advisory committee. We don't make rules. We don't make ordinances. We don't make laws. It's the council. So as an advisory board, new bodies always bring in new ideas. So that's what I'm suggesting here. So, if we come back to, unless somebody objects, but if we can get a motion, so we go 2 3-year terms, that's a total of 6 years. The chair rotation every 2 years, unless the chair stays on for another 2 maximum. So maybe 4 years maximum, so 2 plus 2. And that allows things to get done. And as for Mr. Dominguez's concern, the chair is all I'm doing is facilitating. I'm taking ideas from everybody's input, and hopefully we can articulate that to the city, and they can put together programs or take it to the council and say, hey, these are the things that EPC wants to recommend, i.e., we did that with Firewise USA. They said move forward with it, and we did. So these are things, we're an advisory board. We're not a policy-making board, so that's what differentiates us. And if you look at the last page of the mission statement and so the goals, if you look at it, it says develop and implement an emergency preparedness plan for the city of La Habra Heights. And if you look at the mission statements there, take a look at that. But if you look at a couple of other things that we need to look at is Section 5, we're advisory only. We're not a policy-making group. And then frequency of meeting, in addition to what we're talking about, we've been meeting from January to November. December, we're dark. Rather than meeting every 2 months, we've been meeting every month. I recommend we continue with that because I think the more we're engaged on a monthly basis, we get things done. If we would go every 2 months, then it's going to be 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, and we don't get things done. So the 2 things I like to recommend, okay, and these are all not hardline things, is 2 3-year terms for a member, and then 2 plus 2 maximum for the chair. But I'd like to see a rotation every 2 years. And then the Section 6 would be, the frequency would be every month from January to November. Can I get a motion on that? Okay, motion to move. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call. Ms. Kelly?
Yeah, I approve.
Rumstead, okay, 2?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and yes for me, so unanimous. So I'll put this together.
What I can do is put together a draft, a new draft of a resolution.
Okay.
And bring it back to you guys next month to look at and review. And then if you want to keep this one and go through the mission statement and the goals and see if those still align with where we want to be, if there's any modifications we want to make to those, we can make those at that time. And then from there, we'll take it on to the council.
Okay, so after our next month's approval.
Yep.
I will not be attending next month. I'll be out of the country, unfortunately. So somebody else will have to step in as Mr. Gomez. You've done that in the past. So if somebody could do that, that'd be great. Any other discussions on the rotation and structure of the committee?
If I may ask, next month is March. I guess I'll still be here middle of March, but I'll be out of the country myself from the end of March to most of April. So I don't know how that affects the quorum.
Yeah, we won't have it.
Then can we get that draft ahead of time and maybe we could do a roll call vote via?
That or we can always change the date of the meeting if
Yeah.
we want to look at a different date. We can look at it.
Fourth Thursday works for me on March. I'll be back on the 22nd. Does that work for everybody?
The 22nd of March?
I come back on the 22nd, so it'll be the 20, like, the 5th, 6th,
26.
26th
26th.
March?
I'll be out of town.
I'll be out of town, okay. And then early March is too soon.
Yeah, I won't be here.
Let's keep it April, the third week of April, then our next meeting, because it looks like we're not going to have a quorum.
Looks like, yeah, we'll have some members out for next month, so
Yeah,
we could do that.
yeah, please. So then maybe we can get that draft sent out ahead of time. And if everybody can look at it as soon as you receive it,
So we'll vote on April 16th?
yeah,
I won't be here. I'm out of town.
okay. So we'll just see what happens, because we can't miss 2 months in a row. We want to get, because we got the fourth Saturday of March, we would like to do our first educational seminar and get that information out to the public. So we can do that, and I'll set up an agenda for you by Monday or Tuesday at the latest, so that we can get that information out. So we're good there. So that'll be, we'll finalize it and then maybe present it either at April or May's council meeting and get that up and running. And so the community outreach program, again, that would be the education, the fourth Saturday of March. Search training we talked about. Natural hazard mitigation plan, that's more so for the city, correct, with your plan?
Yeah, so natural hazard mitigation plan is slightly different than the focus of the Emergency Preparedness Committee. It's more focused on city and city facilities. It is a plan that has to be renewed. So ours expires in May of 27. So we're beginning the process to bring on the consultant to update the natural hazard mitigation plan. So as we go through that process, there will definitely be a role for the committee to be part of that review process and update for the natural hazard mitigation plan. It just sometimes when you review it, it seems a little strange because it doesn't necessarily deal with residents and homeowners and private property. It's more focused on protecting and strengthening city infrastructure. So it's looking at our city facilities and fire department and water and sewer and electrical infrastructures in the community, making sure those are strengthened so those continue to operate in an emergency situation. So it has a slightly different focus, but definitely a role for the committee to take part in.
It is part of the Firewise USA 6-year plan. So the city has to put together a plan. So the way we did it was we took the city's plan from the last one, incorporated and carved out what the EPC was going to do, and Firewise USA was one of them. And so we will need that information to present two more years from now. It'll be 6 years. So we'll definitely piggyback on that, and hopefully we can carve out what our role is and then expand on that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any questions on the other verbal? One other thing I recommend, we were shooting for May for Love La Habra Heights. Rather than doing our own this year, if City of La Habra does it either in May or September, I would say recommend that we piggyback and join their framework so we can better understand. Meanwhile, during that process between now and that event, maybe the city can identify 3 elderly households that need some assistance, and we can get volunteer groups to go in, maybe do some cleanup, touch-up painting. We can call in some of the nonprofit volunteers to do that, and that could be the initial starting point so we kind of understand what the whole excitement of these Love Your City really benefits, and maybe you and I can identify the 3 households and put that together and submit it to the City of La Habra and get volunteers or church groups that could partake in that and come and do the cleanup. And some of the examples that we've done for our elderly folks was he was so old he couldn't touch his backyard, and weed had grown, debris, wood that needed to be removed. The city facilitated a dumpster through the local trash, and the volunteers moved everything out, took some weed whackers, cleaned it up, and we got rid of the fuel. And it took 2 and 3 hours. Then after that, hopefully Chick-fil-A donates sandwiches. We all come back to the park, have sandwiches and drinks, and call it a day. And we did some good work and take some photos and post it up for next year. And that's how you recruit more people to partake, because that creates excitement. So those are things that we want to do. So I will take the lead on that, and reach out to City of La Habra and see if we can piggyback somehow and be a part of that expansion. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay to proceed with that? Okay. All right, so recommend public safety emergency preparedness to committee. We discussed that. Any other public comments that has not been on, not on the agenda? You folks out there? None? Any staff comments?
Yeah, just, we've had a lot of
Okay.
rain, so make sure to check
All
the
right.
gutters and drains.
It was a healthy committee meeting today. 6:55 PM, we'll close the meeting. Thank you all.
Yeah.